Dear viewers and learners, I'm so very happy to be able to welcome you today for this session. We'll be able to discuss today one very important paper in our master's course, that is British Drama. We call it MEG-02. In this paper, we have put together so very important texts as far as the understanding of British drama is concerned. Right from Chaucer onwards, we try to generate an orientation into how the British drama evolved, how it culminated, and how it captured the various themes and dimensions of the then-day socio-economical cultural life. Today, besides that, we'll discuss a very important text, Christopher Marlowe's the play that has a very historical relevance, Dr. Faustus. Will discuss as to how this play continues to capture imagination even after 400 years of its production. So today's lecture, let me begin with this, that we'll discuss with you how Dr. Faustus and the Elizabethan age captured the ideas, the themes, and the various issues of life. We'll also discuss the textual diversity of Dr. Faustus in terms of how many people played that, how it was a major success as far as its global impact is concerned. We'll also discuss the rise of Elizabethan comedy and tragedy. During this time, there was a paradigm shift. If we look at the overall rubric of Elizabethan drama, we find that there are various trends emerging. Besides tragedy, there is an element of comedy also. We'll also discuss Marlowe's contribution to drama. We'll find out, was there a real Faust? We'll discuss in a meaningful way the characters as they come and perform in this play. We'll take into account how this play is a build-up on miracle and morality plays, mystery plays. We'll also discuss Elizabethan tragedy, the Senecan influence. I have plans that I will discuss heroic character of Dr. Faustus, and finally we'll look at how Dr. Faustus appears to us, culminates as a Renaissance play. So many analysts, commentators have called Dr. Faustus as a Renaissance child. So we'll look at, analyze, and probe into all these areas. If we look at the scenario of Elizabethan drama, we find that there was a shift, and that shift can be located in the audience. Audience no longer want to think themselves as the pawns of gods or of fate. If we look at the plays before Dr. Faustus, we find that there is a sense of difference as far as characterization and as far as the theme is concerned. Now, like before this, we used to have focus, emphasis largely on predestination. If you look at, say, Sophocles' Oedipus Resk, you must have read that in the course of your readings. You find that a character is bound to die a particular kind of death. He is bound to marry his own mother and then die a very pitiable death. So predestination, Calvinism, is a way of theme, is a predominant theme. So we look at how now there is in the Elizabethan age, there is a sense of shift from there, and audience feel that there is a component of free will also, and human beings should look beyond as merely from being as pawns and as kind of puppets in the hands of fate. We also find that there is a clash between predestination and free will. As we discussed, drama became a trend because of its social stability. If we look at the Elizabethan age, this age in comparison was much more stable as far as socio-economical cultural life was concerned. Queen Elizabeth was not challenged from any corner. So we find that in the theatrical situation, there is a use of theology, geography, and science. Before this, you don't find many such instances where dramatists would allude to, or where they would use some scientific influence, references to geography or theology. Here, you may also note this, that it is this time only that we find a development of proscenium, and as far as the themes and concerns are, themes and issues, we find that anti-Semitism, there is a sense of anti-Jew arguments there in place. We'll discuss that in the course of our discussion today. We find that there is a definite element of Senecan way of dramatizing things and revenge plays. There are supernatural elements. So this is how Elizabethan drama comes to new shape, new dimension, and captures the audience's mind and imagination. We also find that how iambic pentameter with 5 two-syllabic units, it becomes the tone. You know that how Chaucer began to talk about this in his works. Now, in the dramatic tradition also, we find that this iambic pentameter becomes very important. We find that blank verse, which was usually restricted to characters of noble origin, becomes very important. Use of disguise. We'll see how in Dr. Faustus you find that various characters, taking different shapes, using disguise as a dramatic innovation. And we find lots of asides, soliloquies, and private conversations to be able to connect to the audience, to be able to connect to the audience, to take them along, to reveal what happens, transpires in the mind of the characters, various characters, and the protagonist in particular. We find that there is a rise of professional theatre activity, professional plays. We find that there are 2 major houses, Lord Admiral's Men and Lord Chamberlain's Men. Dr. Faustus used to perform in this Lord Admiral's Men theatre company, and we know very famous Lord Chamberlain's Men, where Shakespeare made his mark and he became immortal. This play is no less important in the sense that we continue to refer to it, derive influences. And if we look at how, it will be meaningful if we look at Marlowe's role here. He was one of the, many university wits also. When we say university wits, it's a key term. University means those people who oriented themselves, trained themselves in various university departments, and acquired this the field of drama, started working on this field of drama with a sense of expert understanding, with a sense of academic orientation. So we find that from 1564 he was born, and he prepared a very strong pathway. Marlowe's role has to be understood in the sense that he comes and prepares a strong pathway in terms of characterization, in terms of sequencing of the following of dramatic unities, and then strong characterization is concerned. So we find that how in the scope of 5 years he produces very important theatrical dramatic narratives. If you take that into account, you find that Tamburlaine comes in 1587, Dr. Faustus comes in 1586, the Jew of Malta, Edward I, and the Massacre of Paris. So in the scope of 5 years, we find that Christopher Marlowe is able to create a tremendous impact on the British scene, and then take everything by storm. If I'm referring to university wits, I think it will be meaningful if I take into account the other names. We find that there was Christopher Marlowe, we find Robert Greene, Thomas Nash, who are from Cambridge University, John Lyly, Thomas Lodge, and George Peele were from Oxford University, and the literary historians include Thomas Kidd also, who was not from any university, but he had the same kind of intensity as these university wits. So it is good that you also probe as to how in togetherness and how in isolation these university wits captured various themes and brightened the stage. If I bring all of you to the introduction of this play, I would like to begin with how chorus comes and orients the audience, gives a brief bibliography of Faustus up to this point. There's a detailed sense of description of the birth, studies in Wittenberg, excellence at disputation, and arrogance. You see, Dr. Faustus is remarkable because he has all the knowledge on his side, academic knowledge, university knowledge, but then he is still not a sense of complacent with that, satisfied with that, and he wants to overcome all other knowledge that is. We will discuss how he tries his hand with necromancy and how he indulges into other domains. The overarching aspirations, the way he wants to conquer the skies, build up castles into the sky, bridges across them, and the way he wants to become emperors of emperors. So this is how this play unfolds, and he has reached the top of the studies of the Renaissance university can train you in, and necromancy and desire to be worshipped as God. This is very important. If you look at the themes, we find that since we discussed that how Dr. Faustus is a step above of the miracle, morality, and mystery plays. When the drama was played within the church premises, and the clergy people, the church staff used to be play all the characters, we find here that there is though there is a description of 7 sins. 7 cardinal sins, as we refer to those. Here, there's a description, but that description kind of unfolds in a different way. Revitalization and damnation. All the, you can say, biblical themes also come here. We find that power is depicted, demonstrated as a corrupting factor. Dr. Faustus has all the qualification, but his ambition, but his sense of urge to acquire more and more power and also the absolute power. You see, the way he wants to, as I talked about, emperor of emperors, the way, I would, acquire all the wealth, the most precious of wealth. So the power as a corrupting factor and man's divided nature. Divided nature in the sense that there is a sense of dilemma all the time. There is a sense of when once you have overpowered, captured this world, there is a tendency to go to the other world and do the same. And whether you want knowledge and power, or you want complete dominance and complete control over this world and beyond. So these are largely, we can sum up how the themes, come to us. It will be meaningful, like if you look at the various characters. I told you about Dr. Faustus, who is the main character, who the whole story revolves around him. But there are others also, Valdez and Cornelius, 2 friends of Faustus who are both magicians. We have to look at Mephistopheles, a devil whom Faustus summons with his magical powers. Chorus. We talked about how chorus acts as a kind of character, where a group of singers come and take the audience along with the various vicissitudes and the changes in the dramatic discourse. And we find old man who comes towards the end of the play and then talks about how Faustus has done a wrong thing and he has to now come back and be remorseful and repent. And we have a good angel also, a spirit who urges Faustus to repent for his pact with Lucifer. We have evil angel, a spirit that serves as the counterpart to God angel. We have Lucifer, we have Wagner. In terms of other characters, we have Clown, Robin, Ruff, and the Pope, Emperor Charles V, Knight, Bruno, Duke of Venholt. So these are the various characters who come in between and give a sense of dramatic unity and allow the theme to emerge and culminate into where it stands today. So let's look at how Dr. Foster's, magic is seen as an extension of science, almost the natural climax to a university career. When he acquires and masters all the academic knowledge, then he begins to venture into the so-called little hazy domain, necromancy, magic, and he says he sees that as a natural extension of science. He's arrogant, he's pompous, and he becomes the devil worshipper in the course of time. What has Marlowe done to make him likable? You see, this is very important. If you read the text, if you read through the dialogues, this is very important that you are reading the primary text, the dialogues, and whenever he speaks to other characters, he speaks to the audience through his sides and soliloquies, you are able to capture how he reveals his inner, what makes him so very impactful, likable, what is like if he is a kind of parallel devil, what is so important, what is so, you can say, universal in Dr. Foster. This is something that we'll look at. Foster makes a number of references. So when we are talking about it, Dr. Foster's as a Renaissance play, we need to look at how Dr. Foster's, there are references to America which had just been open to the Europeans as a great source of new gold. So there is a kind of reference, allusions to new knowledge. For example, as far as geography is concerned, Earth as a round place or as a flat surface, there are references to that. So when the devil appears, it is too ugly. Dr. Foster sends his away to reappear in the form of a Franciscan friar. Mephistopheles answers Foster's questions about why he came, about what he wants, and about the hell and the place of Lucifer and the devil in it. Foster agrees to deal with, and he will sell his souls 24 years for ordering Mephistopheles to do whatever he wants. So that sense of bartering takes place. So Dr. Foster sets up a kind of deal with Mephistopheles to kind of achieve his ambition, to kind of go into the domain that he was always imagining, beyond the worldly knowledge, beyond the university academic knowledge. There's a remarkable sense of the kind of dilemma that he passes through, and this 24-year kind of deal where he says that after that I will allow you to take away my soul. So tells the audience that he wants to become the emperors of emperors. Joins Africa to Spain, and like the Persian emperor who made a bridge of boats across the Hellespont to enable his army to cross into Greece. So this is how Foster plans to sell his soul, and is again advised by the good and evil angels. And the evil angel says he will be rich if he does so. He gives his soul to Mephistopheles. He becomes a spirit in form and substance with great power. He wants to understand how hell fits under heaven. Foster also asks Mephistopheles about the shape of the universe, and Mephistopheles gives a piecemeal version of what he was, and then accepted geocentric version. He tells Foster nothing that he does not already know. This is very important, that there is a sense of desire in Dr. Foster to acquire more and more knowledge, but in the course of discussion that he engages with Mephistopheles, there is nothing new that comes about. So a kind of falsified side of Mephistopheles and the necromancy and the world of black magic is revealed here. If you look at the dramatic aspects, Marlowe deliberately brings on the 7 deadly sins from the traditional medieval morality plays, and in the morality plays there would be real, and these would be real and frightening. And here, once you look at the traditional miracle morality plays, you find that the audience would bring to kind of feel threatened, and they would be afraid when they see, say, sloth or gluttony or lechery, all those deadly sins that we all remember. So, but here, when Marlowe introduces them, these 7 deadly sins are used as an entertainment trope, and they come as a very entertaining influence. It's up to you. How do you see that? So you have to answer this question yourself, whether you agree with that, yes or no. For a medieval person, hell was a real place. Your soul was at stake. For Foster's, hell is a fable. Foster's, with his academic orientation, he does not believe in the in the idea and the metaphor of hell, he thinks that is a story. For Mephistopheles, hell is a state of mind. For Marlowe, it's a mind. It's a state of mind or real. This is something that I think this is something that Marlowe begins to impress upon his audience, that it is something that we create, and in terms of our own sufferings. The hell or heaven is fundamentally a state of mind. Faustus tells his friend about the deal he has made with Lucifer, and they tell him to repent. And we need to look at his sense of achievement, the kind of dramatic innovations that he brings in. He achieves in this play with his morality structure and theme, the irrepressible and the wayward hero and the farcical subplot. If we need to locate the arrival of the new hero, a fully framed, lively character, we find that Marlowe achieves that through the character of Faustus, which is which is now ready for everyone else subsequently to kind of borrow that strength. So we find that he presents poetry and elevated dramatic style. We find that there's an enormous sense of rhythm, and we talked about iambic pentameter, which is like 5 stress and 5 unstressed syllables. Through the comedy of evil, Marlowe adds a heroic tragedy. Twofold play, as I would like to quote J.P. Brockbank here, who serves a purpose, who says that it serves a purpose for the audience. I quote, "In fear we acquiesce in the littleness and the powerlessness of man, and in pity we share his sufferings and endorse his protest." So this is very important. This sense of dilemma is so beautifully portrayed, projected, and negotiated. The Renaissance, for example, if we talked about how it is a Renaissance play, inspired the writers of the age to give expressions to the values that Renaissance has brought in its wake. Marlowe also showed his love for the Renaissance spirit. What is the Renaissance? Revival of the Greek-Latin learning, revival of a spirit of thinking, skepticism, the ability and the tendency to do doubt the conventional logic. The hero of the play is a great Renaissance figure. His career may be described as the microcosm of the Renaissance humanism. This is very important. When we talk about Renaissance humanism, we talk about the Enlightenment ideals, liberty, equality, fraternity, how, kind of democratization of the British stage. In fact, Marlowe's Faustus has the restless curiosity, a writer's imagination and audacious desires. So this is how interest in the exploration of new world, which he looks to be a traveler, a ceaseless traveler who sees no break in his flight with imagination. We find that he deals with interest in the exploration of a new world. He wants to have power over the spirits. He wants to ransack the ocean for ocean pearls. I told you that he wants to kind of build bridges over the skies. And like all the Renaissance men, Dr. Faustus shows his interest to quest for new regions beyond these areas he wants to grasp. If I may quote from America, the golden fleece that yearly stuffs old Philip's treasury. So this is how we say, if I may add to the Renaissance features, the impact, we may say love for books. Deep learning was one of the, kind of how you enhance your mind through experience, through what other people of higher knowledge and wisdom has written. So there is a description how Dr. Faustus, kind of represents the highest point of that spirit, love for books, love for Aristotle's work, like, all the Greek masters, where, Aristophanes, where you have Sophocles, all the dramatists of Greek era are celebrated. We also know that there is an interest in science, nature, and geography. Interest in science, I was talking about how there is a sense of remarkable interest in new knowledge and, the scientific temper, there's ability to probe into the cause and effect relationship. Dr. Faustus is always about this. We understand that how Faustus knows the year is divided into two circles over the whole world. When it is winter in one circle, there is summer in the other. So there is a kind of exploration that we notice in the character of Dr. Faustus. At one place he says, I would like to quote here, who knows not the double motion of the planets, the first is finished in a natural day. This is how a kind of deep sense of engagement with the weather, with the environment, and with the cosmos at large. We find that, if we look at the tragic denouement, we find that Faustus reaches his rebellious or tragic death in Act 5. The nature of his death and attendant torment bespeaks a magnificent tragedy, if not that of a tragic hero. But Faustus' offense can never be pardoned. This is very important. Some analysts, commentators say that this is largely a Christian play, and what are the different dynamics that are being played here? He has to repent, he has to seek pardon, and what makes it even more special is the tragic sense of conflict, tragic sense of dilemma, and this does not abate till the very end. Faustus seeks an alternate between heaven through the devilish heaven. Look at his during the last hours, he expresses his desire to meet and embrace the most beautiful lady, Helen. As far as Greek epics are concerned, I would like to quote here what he says. Her lips suck forth my soul. See where it flies. Come, Helen, come, give me my soul again. Here will I dwell, for heavens is in these lips. All is dross that is not Helena. This is how, a kind of, he is ready to compromise everything he has for something very, very transient, for something, for a beautiful lady, for example, like, the transient kind of beauty. And, it is only in this play that we have this, was this the phase that launched 1,000 ships? So there is a sense of disillusionment also subsequently. Faustus knew that his revolt against God does not go beyond futile gestures of defiance, but the gesture is not only characteristics but worthy of man given his magnificence. Faustus dies questioning the very validity of human existence. This is very important. And I'm quoting, why wert thou not a creating wanting soul, or why is this immortal that thou hast? This soul should fly from me, and I be changed unto some brutish beast. Kind of, this brings out that sense of tragic, sense of conflict and clash. All beasts are happy. O soul, be changed into water drops and fall into the ocean, never be found. It is important that, very famous scholar on Dr. Faustus, Kenneth Golden, the way he's, describes the problem that is invested into Dr. Faustus. Like modern man, is the victim of splitting of the will. He rejects Christianity because it would hamper his boundless desires. Yet lie also cannot escape Christianity, or at least certain aspects of it, especially guilt and the sense of sin that leads to despair. The psychological law embodied in the common dictum, genius to madness, is near allied. Jung found occurring again and again in the sense that the consciousness and the unconscious elements of the psyche exist in a compensatory relationship. This is how the psychological, the neurological kind of situation is brought about by Golden. We find that how Faustus resembles Icarus, who attempted, as the chorus puts it, to mount above Willis' reach. If morality heroes are self-effacing human beings, Faustus is superhuman in his ambition. He resembles the Renaissance man, and in many ways the modern man also. Here, when we are thinking about creating, clones, where we are trying to create kind of driverless cars, and then we are searching for life beyond this planet. This is again kind of replication of Dr. Faustus in many ways. Humanness does not limit Faustus' achievement. Why should lie be limited in powers by the human condition. I'm quoting from Act 1, Scene 1. Yea art thou still but Faustus and a man, where his power should reach out. This is very important. So Dr. Faustus, like all Renaissance men, tried to make impossible possible, very importantly. And then when whatever like he discusses with Mephistopheles, he's trying to kind of bridge the gap, and the spirit of inquiry was a dominant trait. Renaissance men loved music, dance, mirth, beauty. All these traits come in this play. Passion for knowledge, we have already discussed how power was a very important feature. The way he dismissed all subjects and decided to study magic. He believes that a sound magician is a mighty god, which is like kind of rejected later on. For the sake of acquiring knowledge, she kind of barters his soul. So in terms of dilemma, Faustus does not rest in his choice between God and devil, but in this inseparable coexistence within this human condition is important. Fear of God and damnation and the truth and the trust of the devil emanate from the human condition. This is very important as far as the understanding of tragic dilemma is concerned. He rebels against the limitations of medieval knowledge. We discussed how, this clash of free will with predestination. Is willing to chance damnation in order to achieve his goals. The tragedy results when a person is condemned to damnation for a noble attempt to go beyond the petty limitations of humanity. This is how I would say that this is how broadly we find that Dr. Faustus's description, this play, even after 4 centuries, we find tremendous appeal that he resembles the vicissitudes, the aspirations, the hopes and aspirations, even if some of them are far-fetched ones, and the dilemma, and how there's a sense of check. So reading Dr. Faustus gives us a sense of how drama has evolved right from its incipient days, miracle, morality and mystery plays, and then Renaissance drama, and how there is a complete culmination of the rise of individual as an autonomous entity. When we talk about Renaissance humanism, when we talk about man as the transformation of world, transformation of this universe from theological to theocentric to homocentric. I think this is a perfect play to be understood in that sense. I would request all our students and viewers to kind of go a little deeper into this, and kind of derive strength, as far as the actual play is concerned. So in your examination, when you are asked how this is a morality play, how this is a Christian play, how this is a Renaissance play, you will be able to answer that. So this is important. We would like to kind of wind this up for today, and we will come again with another dimension, how Faustus's tragic dilemma goes to a new high, and how characterization takes place. What are the other dramatic innovations that was tried out by Christopher Marlowe? This is how we will come and connect to you once again. Thank you very much for today's lecture, and I would wish all of you a safe, secure day. Thank you very much.